back. Hey, Instagram, new stream happening right now, and on Facebook, I'll just wait to see that we have a few people popping in. I had to redirect everybody because the Be Live platform, they've got some kinks to work out. They just, and I get that question from you guys quite a bit, what platform I use. I do use Be Live. I have used it for quite a few years, and I like it because you can schedule the posts so that you guys can, save it. When you see me post, for example, the Q&A, I usually do that a couple days in advance, and then you can subscribe to get a reminder, for example. I also love Be Live because you can screen share, and I was going to use that today to screen share a few things I'm going to share with you. But here we are. So now what I'm doing is I'm on Chrome, which you have to be if you're ever wanting to do a live on Facebook. Good, you're all rolling in. Good, we're good to go over there. Awesome. So here we are. So Be Live, unfortunately, has some kinks they need to work out with their new program they just launched yesterday. So welcome in. Hi, Instagram. Facebook, good to see you. I'm going to hop over to the Q&A queue that I posted the other day where I see we have quite a few questions that have just come in the last few minutes as well. So let me grab those, because I always like to honor those of you that are here live. I do have a few that have been posted to a more anonymous question queue, which you can find if you go to my website, holfit.com/podcast. You'll see the link there if you don't feel comfortable answering or posting a question to the thread. But while we're coming in and getting cozy, welcome to those of you that are brand new. If that's you, say hello in the comments. Let us know where you're streaming from. We're over on Instagram as well as the Facebook brand page. I'm Ange Peters. I'm the founder and CEO of HOL, and I do this live Q&A every month, usually on the last Wednesday of the month at 2 o'clock, but I had to move it to Thursday this week because we were traveling yesterday. We stream this show on Facebook initially and on Instagram, and then I upload it to the podcast, which you can catch anytime in audio form, which is nice if you're on the go. We can hang out, and you can find it in all the places, right? iTunes, Stitcher, really, wherever you're looking for podcasts, you will see it. So happy to have you here, and I just want to go through a few quick updates before we get into questions, okay? So in Instagram, I see you're hot today. I see a lot of engagement happening over there. I wish Instagram had a more efficient way of finding questions than scrolling all the way back up. So if you want to make sure your question gets answered, continue to hang out here, but hop over to the Facebook page and type your question in capital letters, okay? So that I make sure I see it. So I just wanted to share two quick updates. Today, where are we at? June 27th is the last day to purchase one of my favorite little doTERRA collections at 20% off. It's the Healthy Habits collection. You've probably heard me talking about this kit for, quite a few weeks now, because we've been running alongside of it. We've been running a team Healthy Habits 21-day program, which basically takes you through anchoring the lifestyle, resetting your rituals using that specific kit. So I just wanted to let you know that if you've been hanging here with me for a while, maybe years. In fact, this month I've helped 8 people get started with that kit, start their doTERRA lifestyle, and 7 of those 8 people have been kind of hanging out and absorbing the content and education and just little daily oil tips I've been sharing over the last 5 years. They've been hanging out for years watching that, and they just got started. And the reason I love this kit so much, you guys, is it truly is a foundation laying kit. I think probably the main thing I hear from people as a hesitation in starting with essential oils is that they just don't know what they're going to do with them, or they don't know where to start, right? I'm sure many of you can relate to that feeling. I certainly felt like that the first time I started using them. It was this big unknown, and I would have loved so much to have had somebody to guide me through that process, which is what makes what we do in doTERRA at least so awesome. So the community that forms around that. So all I wanted to say with that is, if you are looking to get started with that collection today at 20% off, I've put the simple steps for you at holfit.com/join HHP. Okay, we'll put the link for you there. And if you want to look at what we did with this kit as a whole fit team, we collaborated together to curate a program that's pretty awesome, if I do say so, to really guide people. And you can see what we've done if you want to go to my website, holfit.com/HH program. You'll see a lot of what we've done in the program book. I'm actually, depending on how my afternoon goes, I'm hoping, because today's the last day at 20% off, I'm hoping to hop on here for those of you that want to get a little more of an inside look into what we've done. I'm going to actually hop on and show you the program. I'm going to show you what we've pulled together for anyone that's just still kind of on the fence. Other thing I wanted to mention, I know we're in summer hours, but a lot of you are here. Actually, we have more on live right now than we have the last few months, which tells me that even though we're shifting into summer hours, we still like to get a little bit of a drip of leadership and business and health talk, right? So I'm really glad you're here. If you want to mark down in your calendars, I'm going to show up here again, July 24th. It's a Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern, okay? Also, like I've been mentioning, I'm going to be pumping out some more audio podcasts this summer. So there's going to be some uploaded next week, along with this one, which I'll probably have posted in the next couple days. So watch for those. Other thing I wanted to share, I was in Europe last week. You may have seen some pictures if you follow along on Instagram. We were in Europe, Chris and I, along with a bunch of our favorite people in doTERRA, playing and exploring and cafe hopping and creating and gelatoing. And probably my favorite part of the trip is the kinds of talks that we get into. The kinds of talks about the future that we have the opportunity to impact in doTERRA and to positively shift, right? Talks about how we're growing and how we're leading and how we're evolving, because times are changing. And I've been in this work, like I said, for a little over 5 years. The customer is changing. That's coming into this lifestyle now. The customer of the new 10 years is somebody very skeptical of this lifestyle. It's somebody who wants to be able to have plan A and plan B right there. They're not necessarily the ones who have been seeking this information. They're coming into it. They're seeking more options in their life, but for many of them, it's because they're having to, because maybe their body has hit a breaking point with the traditional pathways. So as a leadership team, we got together last week in Europe, and we do this once a year to really talk about how we can, of course to have fun, but these talks that we have on the sun decks and as we're walking and eating gelato is always focused on how we can collaborate to continue to impact our world as new and more people start to come into this movement. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's important that you know that so many of our conversations last week were about you, and we're really focused on how we can continue as a leadership team to make this a meaningful and life-changing experience for you as a customer. Many of you are customers, 90%. We're almost at 90% now of the over 7 million people in doTERRA are simply customers, right? So even that whole landscape is changing, where when I first started, a lot of people, and not as many as what you'd see statistically in another network marketing company, but more people when I started were joining to do the business. And things have really shifted because what we know now as leaders, and if you've enrolled with me, for example, you'll know that I heavily promoted my wish for you to begin as a customer before you ever entertain the idea of growing this as a business. So I think a lot of that has been shaped by what we as leaders understand is important in that trajectory. But just trust that, you guys. If you're in doTERRA or thinking of becoming a part of this movement, you're in really good hands. There's a lot of care and conversation that happens around how this can continue to evolve in the best way. So, all right, let's see how the live community is doing. I'm going to take 2 questions from the queue, but like I mentioned before, I had to break up the Facebook streaming. So I'm going to hop over to our questions that were posted there. I'm just going to roll through a couple, and then I'll see how you guys are doing with that, okay? All right, so the first question posted was from Laura. She said, what advice can you offer to someone that is relaunching their doTERRA business? I'm more clear now with who I want to help, who I want to serve, and who I want to attract as business partners and customers. But to keep from falling into old habits and comforts of playing small, what would you suggest? Okay, so Laura's saying, at one point she had the greatest intentions for her business, launched it. Maybe what was happening at that time was Laura wasn't super clear on her vision, and so she maybe gave up too soon. She maybe attracted people into her business that matched her mindset at that time. This is a real thing. If you're in business, it's just the way it works. I've been talking a lot about this on Instagram lately, if you follow me there, how the marketing game has changed so much. Marketing today, you can't fake your way in marketing anymore. You can't say one thing and be living another off screen. And so much of the work you do as a business owner is influenced by the true you, the level, the mindset that you have. And so you will attract into your work people that reflect your current mindset. This is a real thing. And sometimes that can be demotivating because you realize, you know what? I have to hit the pause button. I need to do some personal work before I launch this business, because you recognize perhaps that your vision is too small, or you recognize that you're not at a point right now where you're willing to show up for your vision in the way that it deserves and to do that work, right? And so Laura, I commend you for coming back, for starting something and hitting a wall and doing the work you needed to, and now you're back and you see things differently. So here's what I suggest. I think it's important to be real with yourself. Whenever we're looking at habits, our habits are either keeping us where we are, and sometimes we can look at that and think, is this a habit that's keeping me anchored in a lower level of myself, or is this a habit from my higher self? We need to look at the way that we're approaching our day. I mean, and I'm really in this work right now because we've just curated this healthy habits program. We were focusing a lot on the rituals that run us in that program. And this, in business, this is so important for you to look at your daily routine, the way that you think, the way that you're approaching your work, the energy that you're approaching your work with. And so if you are like Laura and you've recognized some things in yourself and you want to shift, start with your daily routine. Take a look at how you're constructing your day, and whether more elements of your day than less, whether more elements of your day are coming from your higher self, okay? Oh boy, now it says my wireless connection has been paused. Hold on. Okay, let me just see if it keeps going. I think we're okay on Instagram still. Something or someone doesn't want me to be streaming right now, clearly. Let me see what's going on. Wi-Fi says it's good. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Instagram, let's keep rolling. I see you. Comment a little bit so I know that you can hear me over there. I'm gonna keep on rolling even though Facebook is telling me I have a poor connection. Okay, so Laura, what I recommend you do, like I said, start with your daily routine. And then, if you mentioned you're in doTERRA, we have fantastic tools for running your business. So what I would suggest you do is that you print off the launch guide and you go through it like a brand new person with new eyes but an upgraded mindset, okay? We have all of those tools available to you. I just finished a collaboration with a group of other Presidential Diamonds. We ran a launch camp for all of our new builders, and it was so fun getting into that work and creating that offering for our builders, because what I realized when I did that, we basically took the guides and we just did some videos and brought them to life. I mean, that's not the important piece. The important piece was that we have all these tools available to us, but we're not using them, okay? So at least to the extent that they could be. So I recommend you grab that launch guide, you order it on your next order, and you go through it with appreciation for all that we have, and you approach your business with a fresh perspective. And honestly, you can't go wrong in doTERRA if you have, number one, if you take ownership of your own health, if every day you're you're seeking to learn and apply, you are a teacher. And so you're going to find people are very drawn to what you do. The second thing, gratitude is growth fuel in doTERRA. If you are someone who recognizes all that we have, I mean, to be honest, I posted a message to my Silvers and Above this morning, and the Coles notes of it was, we are doing privileged work. Like the work that we are able to do, what a gift. And if you look at it that way, all the people that you're able to help, I mean, it'll blow your mind, you guys, how much of an impact you can have on people's lives if you just don't quit. If you, again, if you focus on your own self-care each day and how you can help other people, you will not believe how many people you will impact through your journey. Hey, Gina, how are you, girl? I think you're on live. I saw you were on Facebook. Gina says, I love that you emphasize the area of deep work in several of your podcasts, and especially in the Beautiful Life Lab. Yes, I do. I'm really excited to make a lot of progress in this area, which is so much harder than doing what comes easy or first in my day. What are your top tips for when you feel stuck and the projects are overwhelming? Does that mean we just have too much on our plate and tasks and projects need to be eliminated until I can afford to delegate more? This is a really good question. When you're scaling up in business, you guys probably find this, like every once in a while, you're like, I have it all figured out. I have my stuff together. Everything's just flowing perfectly. I'm ready to grow. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, you're like so stressed, things are not working. There's no flow happening. And that will happen as you are, especially if you're plugged into a business model like Gina would be in doTERRA, where you have no limits on your growth, right? So you're really plugged into a scale up model. This is going to come up for you probably quarterly, okay? And that's happening for you. So Gina mentions the concept of deep work. There's kind of two parts to this question. So deep work, great book, you guys, by Cal Newport. He actually just wrote a new one you'll love if you're into this, called Digital Minimalism. He's doing the podcast circuit right now. He's being interviewed quite a bit if you want to listen to him first before you buy the book, but you don't even need to, trust me, buy the book. So the concept of deep work is working with such great intention that you accomplish more in 2-3 hours than most people do in a week. Because the reality is, and there's a lot of research, a lot of stats around this, but you know this to be true. I mean, even if you look within your circle, you could probably, look at the way people are carrying out their day and know if you were in that same situation, you get a lot more done. If you're a focused person, this is, hey, Robin, I just listened to that interview too. Rich Roll had Cal Newport, great episode. When you are a focused person, when you set aside time to get into the zone, you remove distractions, you are like in the top 2%, because most people today cannot do that because their devices are running them, right? They sit down and they have so much going on that they don't even know what to do first. And so you can unpack this by, I think it kind of starts by setting a new regimen for yourself, not only daily, but weekly. So, and this, of course, Gina's in the Beautiful Life Lab. This is a lot of the work we do in the lab. So I know she's got that part covered. I'm going to get to the second part of this question in a second. Set a new routine for yourself. Start with weekly. Identify what are all of the things you know you have to do in a week when it comes to running your home, when it comes to being a mother, and when it comes to running a business, if all those things pertain to you. And then look, and honestly, write it all out on paper and have a real good look at it. Really look at it and ask yourself, okay, what of these things can be batched together into a day, for example? Like maybe you're setting themes to each day, where Monday's your admin day, Tuesday is your marketing day, Wednesday is your follow-up day, Thursday is your content creation day. Identify, what are the buckets that you can assign to each day of your week. Okay, so you start there. And then you think of your daily routine. You think, okay, what does my day need to look like in order to accomplish everything you know you need to do? And you set that up and you let it run for 2 weeks and you see how it goes. Because then you may find yourself into part B of Gina's question, where she's saying, what about when you have that in place and you're still overwhelmed and things aren't getting stuck? And the reason it's so important to reduce the noise first and to really set a routine for yourself is then you can, with clarity, see what you need to move into the next area of optimization, which is figuring out what now needs to be automated, delegated, or eliminated altogether, okay? And you really can't do that unless you're clear on what you're doing to the best of your ability, okay? So once you've done that, then, Gina's question is, what are your top tips when you feel stuck? Sometimes the feeling of stuckness is just really a feeling of procrastination. There might be things you're putting off that you need to break down into smaller chunks, right? How do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. It's the weirdest saying ever, but you get what I'm saying. And I didn't make that up, by the way. It's a real saying. But what you want to be doing is looking at, okay, if I've done my best to optimize everything, now what? Where do I need to ask for help? Where can I ask for help, or where can I pay for help? Where can I automate things so they're flowing better? I'm always looking at this. Probably a question every single day that I ask myself is this sustainable? Is this fulfilling? And is this something that is scalable? Is the way I'm doing this right now something I'd want to model for my team? Do I want them here in a couple years doing things the way I'm doing them? Is there a better way? I'm always looking at that, because I do believe that as we grow, there are always better ways to do things. And so I guess all that to say, challenge yourself to really look at everything you're doing with critical eyes. You don't have to do things just because your mentor or upline or best friend does it that way. It's up to you, however you want to run this, okay? So give yourself a little grace. I think, summertime, personally, because I have 2 kids, what I find, and I know many of you are in this boat, it requires me to get really focused because I actually look at summertime as the best time to be planting those seeds for the fall. I don't just, put my legs up with my business. I go to work every day, but it causes me to have to get really focused and strict with my time so that what I'm doing within that time I can leverage that. It's going to be growing in some way, so that then I can go play, right? So anyway, long answer, but something a lot of us deal with, okay? So I'm glad you asked it. And I hope that there was something in there for all of you, okay? Okay, let's see. Okay, lots of questions have come in as I've been talking. So I'm gonna try to take questions that will serve the larger group, okay? Tips on starting a podcast or a blog, should I just jump in? If that is your strength, I would say jump right in. And by that I mean, podcast and blog are very different things, right? Here's my advice. If you're doing nothing right now to market your work, figure out whether you feel more excited about doing audio, video, or written form. Just think about, like, if I gave you a promotion, if I offered you a promotion that you could offer to everybody in your business, and I'm like, here, all you need to do is market it, what's the first way that comes to mind? What is okay, for me, I would stop, drop, and hop on video because I love to connect this way. So podcasting for me was actually kind of like a plan B. It was the B side of what I do, which is why it isn't super high priority for me. I literally take the audio from this show because I love the video connection with you, and I strip it, upload it to the podcast. But I also recognize that the world is changing. We love to learn and grow on the go. So this is why podcasting is actually an integral part of how we connect in the online space today. Podcasting you'll love if you have a sexy, sultry voice. if you have the kind of voice that people want to listen to, you could probably talk about a lot of things and people will just want to tune in because they love hearing from you in that way. Or if you just prefer, if downloads come to you quickly and you love the audible form and you don't require a ton of editing to happen, then I think you'll enjoy podcasting. There's courses you can purchase to learn it all, but I would say just start. Open up your phone and start. You don't have to be perfect before you start, right? Open up your phone and start recording on your voice memos. Record your ideas, and then really all you need to learn to do is upload that to a platform like Libsyn, which is what I use, and then it uploads it to iTunes. It does not need to be perfect, you guys. This is always a barrier to our growth, is thinking that we have to have everything figured out before we hit the launch button. Written form appeals to a lot of people. I think blogging is important today because if you think about it, social media is so instant that people, number one, it's like you read something and you love it and then you forget where you saw it, right? So you need kind of a landing area for your content. So this is why blogging is really awesome. It's searchable. So if someone goes onto Google and is searching, I don't know, how to use, what essential oils to use for better sleep. Let's say you've talked about it on Instagram before. They can't search that, right? So you want to be able to have something that they can search and find their answers to quickly, okay? So I think honestly that all three of these things are an important part of being in the online space, but I'm going to assume, Jocelyn, you're asking this because you need to jump into, figure out what you're strong in and just start and then let it roll from there. Hold on, gotta get my charger plugged in here. Okay, Andrea says, to grow a large team in doTERRA, you have to support and help others get their own success, but you're also having to trust them with your growth and income. I have someone on my team who has trouble trusting other builders to be reliable and not quit on them. What advice do you have on this, since I'm sure you've had leaders quit on you? Yeah, totally. I have a real simple answer to this, Andrea, and those of you that have hung out here before, you know exactly what I'm going to say. Your success is not up to anyone else. Never, ever. In the beginning, I think it's easy to think, well, I can't grow because I don't have business partners. I want you to shift your perspective. I want you to look at your business as though it's all up to you. Because it is. Here's why. Your action instructs the action your team is taking, but not everybody. And I want to really just, I don't know, with clarity, I say this. Most people that join you to do a business, let's say, are going to quit. Most. They can hide for a little bit. This is actually a term I was studying recently called social loafing. Most people, given the opportunity to do something lukewarm or at 50% effort, if they think that no one will notice, will do that. So what happens in any type of business that works with a team, okay? So doTERRA, you have a team. You're working together towards goals in helping more and more people. In a team environment, most people will choose to put 50% into something. But every once in a while, you're going to meet another person like you. And it's all going to make sense. Not all of them, maybe 1 out of every 10, maybe 1 out of every 100. But here's the reality. The leader determines the growth of a team. And so if you're holding back because you're concerned that other people, that you can't rely on them or you can't trust them to do what they said they were going to do, assume they're not going to. And lead anyway. Show up anyway. You know, I continue to talk about this with my team because I just want to be real with them. I don't continue showing up here for you guys and serving in this way or working on my business, working hours every day. I don't continue to do that because I have to, or truly, I don't have to. I don't continue to do it because I'm attaching my worth to it. I don't continue to do it because I work for someone else. I don't work for someone above me, I don't work for doTERRA. I work for my vision. I work for what I believe is possible in this world, regardless of whether anyone else is excited about that too. I believe so much in what I see as possible. I'm like constantly in the future thinking about what needs to happen in order for that to happen. And I don't allow myself to get distracted for too long with what people aren't doing. I mean, of course, there's times where I have felt disappointed. There's times where I can't understand why somebody would quit on themselves or give up the first time something gets hard. It's just, guys, I talked about this at the beginning of the year. This is the year you're going to see tons of people hop out of entrepreneurship or owning a business to go back to work for entrepreneurs, because they're recognizing that they've been loafing. They haven't been willing to do the work, okay? And so, Andrea, shift, honey. Shift the way you're seeing this whole thing. Assume it's all up to you. And the right people to do the work with you will be inspired by your action and will get out there and do their thing too, okay? Okay, I'm gonna take one more from the live queue, and then I'm just gonna take the 2 questions. How are we for time? 2:40. I'm gonna take the 2 questions that were submitted, okay? Dun, 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 dun. Let me see. Unfortunately, so many of you commenting about the green screen in the beginning. Okay, yeah, you know, I'm actually seeing a lot of questions that can be answered by my last question here. Questions, for example, from Jean: how do you create momentum at lower ranks? You create the momentum. You create momentum in your own business, and that trickles down. Not always, but yes, energetically. Okay, that heart of service and you showing up and not being distracted by what everyone on your team is or isn't doing is going to drive the whole thing forward. Always, 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 always. Allison said, do you have a daily protocol that Mr. Holfit recommends for firefighters? Allison, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago. If you go to my Instagram grid, I don't post a ton on the grid because I treat it very carefully. I post when I have something really meaningful to say. So that's good news. You won't have to go too long on the grid, but you'll see it's a nice clear image and it says essential oils and supplements for firefighters. Okay, maybe if somebody's on here and is super quick and savvy, they can grab it and post it in the comments so you guys can see it over on Facebook. Alrighty, let me take the 2 questions that were submitted through the podcast queue. The first one comes from Marissa. She said, "And I'm a huge fan of your broadcasts and truth bomb messages. Your level of organization is something I highly admire and struggle with myself. I find that I can stay organized and systematic for a short period of time before home and business systems start to fall apart. What are some of your suggestions for staying consistently orderly in your business, home, and personal life?" So we kind of talked about this today, right? With Gina's question. And I encourage you, just to recap, every single quarter, I would take a look at the various aspects of your life: business, relationships, home life, physical health. And I would really ask, what's working and what's not in those quadrants, and set a new routine for yourself. It's only working until it's not working, right? And seasons will affect how things flow, right? As summer is a good example, and then fall, we transition into school, and then holidays, and schedules get very busy, and then January hits, right? So quarterly, it's really smart to take a look at, okay, what worked last quarter. Honestly, you guys, I love the Beautiful Life Lab. I poured a lot of my time and just learning and experiences over the last 10 to 15 years of running my own business. I poured into that program to take you on a journey through doing this. So for example, one of the things the lab's doing right now is they're assessing how Q2 went, right? They're looking at their April, May, and June, and they're really looking at what's working and what's not, so they can make better decisions going into the next quarter, into the next 3 months. But again, there's always a better way to do things. I'm a big fan of automation with things that are draining. I think it's time for you, and maybe some of you are going to use your summer months to do this, to lay that foundation for the fall. Take a look at everything you're doing and ask how that can be automated. Can what you're doing be leveraged, maximized, so that you're not just doing it once, but so that through doing it once, it lives, okay? Second question from Lexi: how do you optimistically and positively shine the light for people in your life, such as close family, who are very against natural health? I find myself avoiding using oils or talking about solutions because of the discouragement I end up feeling from their very closed minds when they have issues I know could be addressed with natural options. When do you leave well enough alone, and when do you advocate for the better way? Sorry, I'm not laughing at your question. I'm laughing because when I got to the part where you said that you find yourself avoiding using oils, I'm laughing because I'm the opposite. People who know me know I do this, but when I feel resistance, I go even deeper. So in this example, we all go through this. So if you're the first in your family or in your friendship circle, in your community, if you're the first to adopt a more natural way of living, of course, you're going to experience resistance from people, because through your routine, through your practices, through your beliefs around what true health is, you're holding up a mirror to other people saying, and they immediately feel that what they're doing is not enough or wrong. And that's not the goal, right? The goal is that you are an example of what happens when you learn and apply, and what happens next. And so you're encouraging people to turn more of the lights on in that area, but not all are going to be ready for that. And most are going to give you a hard time initially. So stay the course, pull your oils out even more, but also know it's not up to you. It's not up to you to help people who aren't seeking that. One way I always describe doTERRA is that there will always be enough, for example, there will always be enough properly sourced, pure essential oils for those that are seeking it. There's not enough for everybody, but there is enough for those that are seeking it, okay? And that is true of anything in the abundance model, whether you're someone who's holding back from, maybe you're limiting yourself successfully in your business from reaching that next level of success because you worry so much about other people who aren't. They're not seeking it in the way that you are. There will always be enough. That's how abundance works. And so we can learn from that formula, especially when it comes to who we are here for. You're not here to change people. You're here for people who are looking for you, for what you do. This is why it's important for us to understand the value of the unfollow button. This is why it's good to send out a newsletter and celebrate the unsubscribes, because that means that you are going deeper in helping the people you're here to help. You need to help people you are not here for understand that you're not here for them, even if it's close family, especially if it's close family. They need to see you learning and applying and experiencing a higher level of health through that, so that one day in 7 years, when they're ready, you're the person that they come to. Just rock it, sister. Do not stop doing something because somebody wants you to stay stuck to make them feel better. And this is true of everything, you guys. Everything you're holding back from saying, from doing, because of a fear of what other people will think, is exactly the place you need to go, okay? I've mentioned this a few times on Instagram this week. You'll probably hear me say it another 17 times this year. When you are in a position to help other people, especially if you are in a position of leadership, you must care more about that, about your vision, about your leadership, about your integrity. You must care more about that than what people are going to think of that. Because the people that are going to say something to make you feel bad about all the good that you're doing for yourself and for your family and for the planet, unpack that a little bit. Where is that coming from? And also, the B side, please don't ever let somebody influence your decisions if they are not walking out and living a life that speaks to the direction you're heading. No. Okay, we're gonna wrap this puppy up. I have 2 girls who are ready to go on scooters down to the ocean. Okay, so quick thing. I'm gonna hop on here and just give a quick peek of the Healthy Habits program, only for those of you that are on the fence, that you wanna get started with that collection and you wanna see what we've done with it, okay? So I'm gonna hop on here in like 20 minutes and do that. I'll do Instagram and Facebook. But just before we go, I wanted to read the review of the week. We pull a review, or not review of the week, review of the month, I should call it, from Rockin' It With Oils. She said, Ange has a way of answering the questions of my heart. I will often set an intention when I choose what podcast I will listen to that day. It's like I'm sending the vibes out and telling Ange to talk to me and tell me what I need to hear. It never fails. She blows me away every time. Oh, I see my husband's on right now. I also like it when Chris joins because I can share those episodes with my hubby and it connects with him as well. I have her podcast on repeat and learn every single time I turn it on. My heart is always filled. I can never put into words how grateful I am for these podcasts. It's like I have a best friend over the table talking to me as I cook or do dishes. I love that. That was entirely my intention for this time together. I want it to be comfortable, but stretching. I want to feel like we're hanging out over coffee, but talking about the good stuff. So I'm so happy that you feel that way. It's resonating. Hey, Rockin' It With Oils, send Jill, my assistant, an email at teamholfit@gmail.com. We're going to hook you up with a 50% off promo code, either for you or if you want to share it with one of your besties. That is totally cool. Mr. Chris Peters, Mr. Holfit, I see your, you're starting your own. Okay, Chris is going to start his own podcast. We need to have you back on, babe. Maybe for you know what? I don't think you're working on the July one. So we'll have you on for the July one. Maybe we'll do a couples hang. If you guys want to submit questions for the July podcast that have anything to do with Mr. Holfit, if there's anything, let's have him do more of the talking. Yeah, I'm just going to sit and sip my Earl Grey while he answers all the questions. We'll be back, you guys, Wednesday, July 24th, okay? See you then. Thanks for hanging live. Thanks for dealing with the online disruptions at the beginning. We'll get this uploaded to iTunes. Yes, and watch out for Chris's new podcast, apparently coming soon. I do want the competition, babe. You got me wrong. I'm not gonna get into that. Okay, anyway, I gotta go.